It's time to start your life the way it is meant to be. There's only one time when it will be too late, and you don't want to wait for that. This is Now or Never. The choice is yours. Your host is Karen Wright. Today, you're about to meet some amazing people. The stories are not always happy ones, but they define a healing process. Listen with an open mind and an open heart. Now, here is Karen Wright.
Listeners, welcome in. Today, our show is about knowing your worth and your purpose. What steps are you taking to discover your worth, value, and purpose? Do you feel confident about the journey? Today, I will speak with a dynamic individual who has found her worth and purpose through a winding journey. Listen in as I talk with MaryJean Winn about her lessons that she has learned along the way. Her stories will inspire you on your path. So MaryJean, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
This is just so exciting. And before the show was starting, listeners were like, I'm like going, can you believe it's June 1st? It's like crazy. Half the year's gone.
No way. No way.
It is just
before we know it, it'll be Christmas again.
I know. And, I remember as a young child, my mom saying, oh, you just wait, Karen, when you get older, time speeds up. Like time speeds up. And I'm like going, that's just mom being old, right? And now I'm like going, oh my gosh, time is speeding up so fast all the time. That is just crazy. But the thing that's interesting is not only me in my age, in my 50s, but also my kids in their 20s are noticing how quickly time is going.
My kids are doing the same thing.
Yeah. And so as we, start this whole show today and discovering our worth and our purpose, understanding that there is such thing, as I always want to, I'm one that does not believe in time, like man-made time. So we stay on schedule and things like that. And in the bigger scheme of things, like time is just an illusion. Is my thoughts and my truth, right? And so as we go along our purpose and our journey through life, sometimes we're so concerned about goals and time limits. And I'm like the affirmation queen and the manifesting and going, okay, this year I want this and this to happen. And then understanding it's like, there's bigger things out there. And the universe, God, whatever your truths are, whatever you believe in the higher being, sometimes has something else planned for us.
Oh, yes. Yes. I'm gonna totally agree with you there. And you think, where did that come from?
Right?
It was not on your plan, was it?
No. And I'm like, I don't remember talking to God about this situation happening, but okay, it's happening. And what am I supposed to be learning? And sometimes I never really not learn, but understand the lesson behind it, which is okay too.
And sometimes the lesson behind it comes several years down the road and you come back and you go, oh, that's why that happened. Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful. Listeners, I hope you enjoy our show today as we get going. You know how I always love just to take a time to breathe. And so I invite you to join MJ and I as we just uncross our legs, unfold our arms, close our eyes, and just allowing yourself to take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Another deep breath in and out through your mouth. And I invite you to put your hands up around your shoulders and give yourself a big squeeze. And releasing the breath. And repeating 3 times to yourself, my favorite affirmation, I am worthy of my love. Repeat that 3 times to yourself or out loud. I am worthy of my love. I am worthy of my love. I am worthy of my love. Take another deep breath in and releasing. And then tapping 3 times on your chest, repeating the word accept. Accept, accept, accept. One more deep breath in and releasing. Listeners, I hope that you took this opportunity to take a couple minutes and just be, allowing yourself to be in the moment, feeling your breath, and being in the now, being present. And my show, Now or Never, the choice is yours. You have the choice to be present. You have the choice to be here with us now with an open heart, listening with your heart. And as the show continues to evolve, that you will learn and grow with the experiences that will be shared with you today, with the wisdom that will be shared with you. And I love, as I said earlier in the show, I love my affirmations. Affirmations have been something that I have in the last 8 years really come to understand. You are what you think. You are what you think. And you talk more to, like, I talk more to myself than I talk to humans, right? Well, I am human, but I'm saying, like, I talk more to myself all the time. And I found that through life, when I'm critical or when I'm upset, it doesn't do me any good. And so affirmation of positiveness, of changing my mind, has really added to my healing of my journey, healing my soul, healing who I am, and loving all of me, realizing that I am a wonderful soul. Like each of you listeners and my guest today, MJ, we are wonderful people, and we're all unique and raw and authentic, and finding that diamond within each of us is so important, and letting it shine in the brilliance that we all are. So MaryJean, as I read I'm going back between MaryJean and MJ. So just so my listeners know, MJ and MaryJean are one and the same. But I've been introduced to her as MJ and MaryJean. And so it's like, okay, whatever feels good is going to come out. But as I read the affirmations today, 2 of them popped out of my box. You know, I was showing MaryJean's, like, I have this box, and 2 of them like popped out today when I was shuffling, and I never looked at them. And the other thing I wanted to let my listeners know is that I have my own affirmation cards. And so those are going to be on my site. You can go to shinenowornever.com and order those. There's 52 cards in them, one per week, or however you want to do them. And they're just my favorite affirmation things that have inspired me. So I'm really excited to share that with my listeners. And moving forward, those will be the cards I'm going to be using, are going to be my own. So I'm kind of excited about that. But moving on, our affirmations, you guys. Our first one is, I live my truth. I live my truth. So as I read that, MJ, what did you think about that? What came to your mind when I read, I live my truth?
Oh, that's a big one. And it's crazy because I was talking to my sister before the show so that she could just keep my brain moving in the right direction. And we were actually talking about how we are living and speaking our truth. It's our journey from the beginning to the end, and we have to live it, and we have to voice it. And it's okay that it's just our truth, that nobody agrees with us all the time. Mm-hmm. No one's going to all the time, but it is our truth at the end of the day.
I appreciate you sharing that. I know there's a lot with truths. Truths can evolve. Like, you can be raised one way and believe in the truths that you were taught, the beliefs, right? And right. Then as you evolve and grow and life lessons start happening to you, truths change.
Very definitely.
Yeah. And I have found that personally in my life, where my truths have changed, although the core is pretty strong, because I'm all about the higher spirit, the God, Christ, Heavenly Mother, Godhead, and the Holy Spirit, and how empowering that is. But my truth has opened up to where There's angels around us. There's archangels. There's guardian angels. We are surrounded by angels.
Every day.
Yes.
Every minute of every day. Yes, I'm surrounded by them as well. I've been told by a lot of people that I'm surrounded by angels that guide me every minute of the day.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed by them.
And you're open-minded enough, open-hearted enough to allow that to become a truth of yours.
Mm-hmm. Very definitely.
Yeah. And sometimes people are like, what? That's just so weird, bizarre. I don't understand it. And it's okay, because you have to find your truth. And so whatever your truth is being able to voice it and be okay with it and understand
I've experienced them one-on-one. Like there's no denying the angels that surround me and guide my life.
I love that. I love that. Listeners, I want you to write down, our first affirmation is, I live my truth. Now our second one is, I love my body. I love my body. I live my truth and I love my body. Both wonderful, powerful affirmations. So MJ, when I said, I love my body, you started laughing. Why were you laughing?
Oh my goodness. Because I'm learning to love my body.
I love that. You know what? I think that's something like, it's very powerful. I think, especially with women, right? We've always been, you're looking at the magazines and models, and now it's Facebook and social media, and everyone's just happy, and everyone's on these journeys and their weight loss, and they like, beautiful. And you're like, okay, where am I at? We start comparing ourselves.
I'm the perfect one. And I'll just share a quick story. So 4 years ago, before my divorce, I was 300 pounds, or like this close to it. Mm-hmm. Over the last 3 or 4 years, I've lost 120 pounds. So do the math. But I still, it's kind of my journey. This is my journey to accept and love my body. I still look at myself in the mirror as that 300-pound person. Regardless of what I'm doing to better myself, I still look at that. And that's something that I'm constantly working on is, wait, you are perfect just the way you are. It's okay. But through that healing, I'm figuring that out. Mm-hmm. No, I still don't love my body, but I'm learning to love my body. So,
well, I challenge you to write that affirmation down and put it on your mirror. I
did.
Okay. I love my body.
On my wall here in a minute.
Yes. It's like I have all over my mirror. I can't even see myself because of all my affirmations, but it's all about, like, when you're looking at yourself, I love my body. And I think that's very important in all stages of life. I mean, I've been blessed with great genes and being able to like keep my body youthful and young. And thank you to my parents, love them for that. God rest their souls. But there's a lot to it where even as you start aging, my skin is sagging and it's not as tight as it used to be. And I've got wrinkles. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, well, it's a good thing I live in this time of life when there is such thing as Botox or fillers. And I'm like going, okay, those are on my list of things, right?
Makeup in and of itself is a wonderful thing.
It's so true. And I think, oh, I'm so great. And hair color. I told my kids, I'm going to dye blonde. I'm like probably dishwater blonde, darker as I gotten older. But I'm like going, I will always be a blonde. That's just what I'm going to do. And I told my kids, when I get old, make sure my hair is blonde.
And I say the same thing. You will never see gray in my hair. I'm sorry. It will never happen. I'm not going to get old. It's all about how you are in your heart. Yeah. And I'm young at heart. I'm a 20-year-old at heart, even though I'm 50 in my body. But the hair will never show gray. No.
Yeah, there are some boundaries.
Boundaries.
There's some boundaries because it's like, and I believe probably most women, if they listen to this, the best days are hair days. When you go and you get your hair done, you get the color, it's all fresh and you feel good, or you get your nails, like you've done something for you, because it's not in vain. but it's something that makes you feel good. And if that's what adds to helping someone make you feel good, why not do it? Right.
Yep.
And
I eat, sleep, and breathe it.
Yeah, I think it's very, very important. So as we're going to be going into break here in just a couple of minutes, but before we do, I would love you, MaryJean, to introduce yourself a little bit to our listeners before you go into break.
Okay, well, my name is MaryJean Winn. I grew up in northern Utah. I'm the youngest of 5 children. Quite a span between me and my siblings. I am the mother of 6 beautiful, amazing children that I eat, sleep, and breathe. And I have 12 amazing grandchildren that I eat, sleep, and breathe more than my children. If I could have been a grandmother first, I never would have been a mom, because they are the best, but I know it doesn't work like that. I have been on a journey of healing for years, but my journey took a different turn after my last divorce 3 years ago. And I have been on a discovery journey of who I really am and what I am and what I was meant to be. Even though I've known it, I've never acted on it. So now I'm actually taking the steps, or I started taking the steps to discover that I was who I meant to be. I am that person, and I'm still discovering it every day. And I still have my good days and my bad days. I'm still defeated. I still fail. I still do all of these things, but I take the lessons that I've learned throughout my life, and especially my marriages. I've had 2 failed marriages, but I don't define myself by those failures. I define myself by the lessons that each of those marriages could teach me about who I am and what the next journey is going to take me.
And so, I appreciate, I'm jumping in, you guys, because I appreciate the fact that you clarified that they weren't failures, that you learned through those marriages. And I think sometimes as people go through divorce, like they feel like they failed. Oh my gosh. And yes, those feelings do cross you. I mean, I was married 28 years and I asked for a divorce, and people are like, oh my gosh, you're like almost there. Why now? Right. And
I have felt like a failure. Believe me, in the very beginning of the divorces, it was a failure. And everyone's like, why did this fall apart? Well, because it did. And I've had to learn, no, that's not a failure. Just like, it doesn't matter how long you've been married. It's not a failure. You learned from the experiences over the years that you were married. And I learned from them. And I value both of my marriages very much for different reasons.
And I appreciate you sharing that. Listeners, we're going to go into break right now, but stay tuned and we'll be right back after this message. And we'll hear more about MaryJean and her life lessons about her worth and purpose on her journey. We'll be right back.
All right, good segment. All clear.
Okay. All right. We got 2 minutes, babes, and then we jump back on. Okay. How'd you feel? Nerves gone?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just talking at this point right now. I'm just talking to you. I'm just going to pretend there's nothing else is going on. I'm just you.
That's good. And that's what I love is with my Zoom calls with the radio show is like, I love that. Like I've been on a couple of interviews, which I thoroughly enjoyed, but it's all just on phone. And I really like being able to connect with my listeners through Zoom and face to face. If, we can have people in the same room and talking back and forth, I'm like going, okay, that was, I would love to be able to do that too, because you can feel the energy. But I think it's so important because I can read body language, or I can kind of feel what's happening and read your face expressions, or my other guests where they're like,
I hope I'm not too crazy weird and I should be worried. Should I be worried?
No. I think, we might as well give our Facebook people a show, right? Like we're on. It's like,
I'm a talker, so it doesn't bother me to talk. I'm learning to be a whole different person. This whole Zoom and Facebook and being on camera and be live is a little different than what we've all been raised to do from our era. My kids are doing great. I don't do it quite so great.
I know.
But I'm learning.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So when we get back, let's start with your journey about when at 17, when you became a mom.
Okay.
You want to start there?
All right, coming back here in about 12 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Or is there another place you want to start?
I think there was one about secrets.
Okay.
What if we did that one?
Okay.
You are listening to Now or Never. The choice is yours. To connect with the program today, please call us at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is Karen@shinenowornever.com. Let's get back to this week's show. Here again is Karen Wright.
Listeners, welcome back to our show. It is June 1st, and I don't know where this year has gone, but my guest today is MaryJean Winn. And before we continue on, this next segment of the show is sponsored by my book, Now or Never, Shine Baby Shine. You can find it on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Walmart, Target. It's an international bestseller, hit international bestseller in 5 countries. And it's now, as of March, on Audible. So you can listen to my story. And it's just, I love to share my story. And as we go into this next part of the show, it leads up to my question for MaryJean. I think in life, we as people have skeletons, or we have secrets that we don't really want to share. We don't want others to know things that we've done, and maybe we're ashamed of, or feel guilty about. And as I wrote my book, my memoir about my life story, it was very freeing because I leashed or let people know about the person I was, the person I have become. But during that time of my life, I mean, I was not faithful, and I caused a lot of hurt for myself, for my husband at the time. And it's like when you throw that pebble in the water, how it just ripples out, and the rippling effect by choices I made had a huge impact, not only on myself, but those I loved and other people that I didn't even know that I hurt. And there's secrets in our lives. And MJ, there's some secrets I know you would love to share with the listeners. I don't know if love's the right word, but you're willing to, and I appreciate
I'm willing to share.
That I appreciate you doing this, that there are secrets, and once you own them, it's very healthy, in my opinion. So as we continue on, MJ, I would love you to share the secret that you have had, the secret that you want to share today.
So it's not even so much the secret I've had, but the secret that I grew up with, the secret that I was predisposed to believe. I grew up in an extremely abusive home, very dysfunctional abuse, and secrets beyond measure. I mean, you can't measure the amount of secrets that went on within the 4 walls of the home that I grew up in. So I was taught from an early age that you kept your mouth shut. You didn't share the things that were happening in your life. You didn't share what happened at home. You didn't share that the gun went off or that you shot guns. You didn't share about the sex abuse. I was abused as a child. And then at 9 years old, my dad tried to kill my mom. That was not talked about. That was a secret. That was quiet. I remember going to school Nobody would talk about it at home. And as a 9-year-old, I was 9 years old when that happened. As a 9-year-old, I just needed to talk. I'm a talker. I think that's how God created me. So I just wanted to talk. So I went to school and I tried to talk to my friends at school and to my teachers and to all of the people that were around me because I just needed someone to listen to this heart. And everyone shushed me. You have to keep this quiet. You can't say anything. Don't you say a thing. So throughout my life, I have kept secrets because that's what I was taught to do. You don't talk about these things. This just, no one needs to know. Well, what I didn't realize is that all of those things have strained my voice. So I'm afraid to speak out. Like even to talk like this is a really tough thing for me because I'm sharing secrets that nobody else has said. I am living my truth, your affirmation. I am speaking my truth. And it's been really hard for me to do that, even though I've been really free with speaking these things. There's some things that I just wouldn't talk about. And I'm learning that it's okay not to keep those secrets. It's okay to voice the things that we went through. So as a result of keeping these secrets, I was not allowed to develop my worth, to develop my individuality, to develop my identity as a child, as a young adult, as a teenager, as a mother. All of these years, I've gone 50 years and not known who I was because I could not voice the things that were deep in my heart. The failures, the defeats, the happiness, the joy, all of that needed to just be a secret. And how debilitating those secrets can be.
Did it affect you like with anxiety, depression, PTSD?
I have all of the above. Depression runs in my family. I have probably done more psychological counseling, therapy, reading, self-help than any of my other brothers and my brother and sisters. I've dug into that because the depression has been so debilitating. PTSD is sometimes off the charts. I can't function when those PTSD triggers hit. Anxiety, yes, I realized that I had anxiety long before, and I never realized it. And it was just recently that I actually was put on anxiety meds because they went, you really have anxiety. And I never defined it as that. I was just this crazy person that was always up and going, but it really was anxiety. And I went, oh, wow, this is how this works. But I'm getting that too, because now in the last 3 years, I'm speaking my truth more. I'm sharing my story. I'm getting ready to write my book. I've started this nonprofit. I've done all of these things. And now I'm going, oh, wow, the secrets are coming out. And I'm okay to share those things. But I've been so afraid of what other people around me would think of me, or think of my family, or think of the way I was raised, that I've kept that quiet. I've been told all the time, MaryJean, why do you talk so loud? Be quiet, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. And so I've always been quiet. You know, I've never shared those things that I believe need to get out. I have a total and complete belief that the reason I struggle with my body, these affirmations work perfectly for what we're talking about, because I'm trying to protect myself, especially now that I'm letting all of these things go. And as I have healed, I've always kept the weight because if you look at the feeling, there's a feelings book, Feelings Buried Alive Never Die, that we go off of. I don't know if you've heard of that book or not.
I have.
But the feeling associated with weight gain is protecting yourself. So when you don't tell these secrets, it's going to all internalize within your health. Not just PTSD, depression, and anxiety that are the more silent things inside of you, but your health, heart disease, weight gain. There's so many things that these secrets just bury inside of you, and it comes out in who you are and in your body.
I am a total believer that exactly what you're saying. Stress causes physical health in all of us. And a girlfriend of mine, she's kind of gone on the same journey where she lost 130 pounds over the last couple of years. And before she started her weight loss, I remember talking to her, and she had some abuse and things happening. And I said, until you come and speak your truth, you're going to continue to hide behind your weight, because no one can get in. It's your wall. And a lot of people go through that. And listeners, if you are one where you have a weight issue, maybe stop and think, what is the main cause? Was there abuse in your life? Depression, secrets, anxiety? Like, what triggered? There's a core reason for this to be happening for the most part. Sometimes hereditary, whatever, but for the most part, there is that core reason. And understanding it. Is there, MJ, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, was there a certain time or a certain book or counselor or like someone that you worked with that truly helped you that you can recommend to our listeners?
I started when I went through my divorce, my second divorce. I had gone to one therapist that I was referred to, went to her for about 6 months. And at the end of 6 months, I went, this is not who I'm supposed to be with. I had a really bad experience. I actually told her I'd never be seeing her again. And I got referred to a man at Life Changing Services in Farmington, Utah. And I started researching him. I researched him for 6 months before I ever made an appointment with him. I looked at his YouTube videos. He's very unconventional, and I like those unconventional kind of things. He has an opportunity to let God into the therapy, which is something I wanted. You didn't have to do that kind of situation. Like, he adjusts the therapy to your wants, desires, needs. But there was one thing that he said in one of his podcasts that I was listening to, and in all of the research that I did about him, that said, we work off of your core beliefs. And I loved that, because he could take my core beliefs about who I was or who I believed I was and wanted to be, and who my identity was, or, and that was all hidden inside of me. I mean, I knew bits and pieces, of who I was or what I wanted to do, but he has brought out so many things about who I am, and where I'm supposed to go, or the journey that I'm on, that I never imagined I would ever be on. And he's pulled that out of me in a way that does not feel like therapy. And I've done a lot of therapy, a lot of therapy I've done hypnotic therapy. I've done anything that I can even possibly imagine to try to release everything that has been built inside of me and has been implanted inside of me that kept me from believing that I was of any value at all. And as a part of growing up in abuse, I married abuse. because I didn't have a good role model. I didn't have that role model that said, oh, you are worthy of having someone love you. You are worthy of having someone care about you and treat you like you deserve to be treated. I never had that voice. So I've never stood up for myself. I've never had boundaries because I was taught, again, to keep those secrets. And this man has helped me come out of a shell that I never dreamed would ever be possible.
I appreciate you sharing that because, I mentioned the core beliefs, and then you just mentioned again that was part of what he said. And it's amazing how we can look at ourselves and think, or, I can look at myself and see me a certain way. Someone else looks at me and sees me a certain way. Someone else looks at me like I've got 100 different opinions of who Karen is, because people have made up their mind. They have made their judgments already about who someone is, and as humans, we do that. You look at someone and you make a quick statement about that person and you don't even know them. But yet I find that it's amazing as you start unleashing and start the segment onion always comes up every show I do. But the layers continue to unfold and to dig deeper into the core value. And when I really know that our souls, right? We're all individual souls, spirits, and that our souls are inside this body. We're just the shell. The shell is just our body with these souls. And I've been, throughout my readings and things like that, there's one thing that has kind of really stuck with me. I want to say it was in the book, Conversations with God, maybe the second or third one. He's got 3 of them and they're like amazing. And he said, don't ask to evolve, continue, to evolve, but ask to revolve. Remember who your soul is. Remember your spirit, because your
Great
spirit
words.
already knows, right? So revolve, asking, so in my meditation and my hikes in nature every day, it's like, I'm always like, help me remember my soul. Help me remember, to me, the inner child is that soul, that spirit that we really are, and then connected to our higher being, our higher self, is bringing them together and revolving. And so there's so much depth into the journeys that we experience in life. But I want my listeners to understand you're not alone. You're never alone. We have MJ here with us today. We're going to get ready to go into commercial break. But when we come back, MJ will share how people can get a hold of her. And you can always reach out to me, email me at Karen@shinenowornever.com with your questions, with your concerns, because you're not alone. And if I can't help you, I can direct you with other past guests that have been on my show that have had help, who, like MJ said, this counselor she's been using. I'm going to find out to see if we can find out his name and how people can get a hold of him, during break. I'm going to talk to you about this, MJ. So stay tuned. Stay tuned, because I just don't want to give it out until we have permission. But listeners, stay tuned, because when we come back, we're going to dive a little bit deeper with MJ and go from there. We'll be right back after this break.
All right, perfect. All clear. Back in about 2.
Okay, thanks. Okay, can we give out his information? What are your thoughts with that?
Oh, yeah, he can. I don't know that it has room, but he has about 50. I think he has 50 plus therapists nationwide.
Okay.
That does things on Zoom calls, and they do a lot of Zoom stuff, especially after COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, absolutely. He is at Life Changing Services. His email is, I don't know what his email is, but his website is lifechangingservices.com. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay.
And
what's his name?
His name is Maurice Harker.
Mari?
Maurice, Maurice. So it's life-changing services, counseling and mental health facility. They do have a lot of things. He's LDS, I'm LDS. He has a lot of LDS programs, but like I said, you don't have to follow. He doesn't necessarily follow those lines unless you want him to. He has, looks like online, his phone number is 877-437-6877. He does marriage repair. He does women of light. He does programs with pornography addiction. He's pretty non-traditional and very he's amazing.
That's awesome.
The things.
Tell me the number again. 437-8677.
6877.
6877.
Yep. 877-437-6877.
Okay, thanks, Matt.
And you can look him up on YouTube too. He has some YouTube videos.
Okay. That'd be good.
You are listening to Now or Never. The choice is yours. To connect with the program today, please call us at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is Karen@shinenowornever.com. Let's get back to this week's show. Here again is Karen Wright.
Listeners, welcome back to the show. Before we went into break, MJ was speaking of one of her counselors that she's been working with for the last little bit. And so during break, I'm like, okay, well, let's find out more about this guy that she's working with. And so if you go to lifechangingservices.com, you can click on their website there. Their phone numbers on that site. It's 877.
It's actually lifechangingservices.org. Sorry.
Okay, so it's lifechangingservices.org. Their phone number is 877-437-6877. And MJ was saying that they're like nationwide. So wherever you live, you can like find local people close to you. They do Zoom calls, everything. So I don't know. I think resource is always good. You know, you get to choose if you want to pick up the phone or Google just to see if it's something that's going to help you impact your life for your changes. And right now, things are changing. We just had a new moon, and I love the moon cycle. And every time there's a new moon or full moon, I'm like, whoa. So with the new moon, you get to manifest. You get to decide, you know what? I'm going to make these choices. I'm going to make things happen. And to me, they're really powerful. Every couple of weeks, we get the new moon and the full moon, the new moon and the full moon. And I just love that. As we were talking before break, we were talking about MJ, you know, going through depression, anxiety. So my question with you, have you kept these secrets from your kids or other family members?
Not from my children. My children have seen crazy mom. They have seen mom 4 days in a psychiatric hospital with a nervous breakdown because of the secrets and the abuse. They have seen me fight through some of the worst, hell of my life, where I have been almost dead. I've struggled with depression a great deal. I have planned suicide more times than I can begin to tell you. And one involved taking all of my children with me because I couldn't get out of an abusive marriage. So I have seen the depths of what depression and anxiety and PTSD can do. I live with it every day. I fight it every day. And it's not something that goes away. It's not something that, you know, you can just will away. And I've tried to will it away. I'm not going to do this. And yes, it keeps me going, and even the willing keeps me going, but it doesn't keep me going inside either. So I've learned very recently, they put me back on meds and on anxiety medication for the first time in my 52 years, just a couple of weeks ago. I sat back after I started taking these anxiety meds, and I was like, oh, wow, I don't have to think like that anymore. And now I can really start working on understanding why I feel these ways, because it stops my head from spinning enough or keeps me from being ADD all over the place.
Yeah.
That I can sit down and I can go, okay, this is how this feels. This is why I feel this way. And now I can really dig deep into identifying who I am, what I am, why I am, and be able to help like I know I'm supposed to be helping. I am a life coach. I want to be able to do that. But if I don't have a clear path, I can't help somebody else because I'm not truly helping me. And if I'm not helping me, then I'm not going to get that inspiration that I need, or I'm not going to get that light that I need that guides me to the next journey or guides me to the next T in the road. So yeah,
I love the fact that you're being open on air about, I call it brain wellness. There's a lot of, people that suffer with brain health, right? And we live in a time of age, and we were joking around how, yay, we got makeup for our bodies or whatever.
Exactly.
But taking care of our bodies, but also taking care of our brain and keeping it healthy. There are medicines out there to help us. And people are like, oh my gosh, I mean, depression ran on my side of the family. And there was a time after my daughter died that I was on antidepressant. And people kind of look at you like, why would you do that? I'm thinking, well, if you had diabetes or if you had some kind of physical illness, you're going to take care of it. What's the difference?
When I was put in the hospital, I had a therapist that came back and relayed my depression to cancer. They said, you have cancer. And I went, no, I don't have cancer. And they said, yeah, you have cancer. And think of it like cancer. What would you do if you had cancer? Well, we'd go to the doctor. We would have it looked at. We'd have it biopsied. We'd treat it. We'd do all the things that we needed to get rid of this cancer, right? So they said, compare your mental illness, because I have it. Abuse, secrets, all of these things that I have talked about create anxiety. They create depression. They create PTSD. They create worth issues across the board, dysfunction, all of these things. And they went, how do you treat this if you don't treat it? Because I believed that there was no pill that could fix this. They put me on antidepressants the first time over 18 years ago. And I've been off and on them. I'm not a steady. They help me get through the hard times, and then they take me off and they help me get through. But at least I know now what those hard times are. I can recognize the triggers that go, I'm not going to make it through this one alone. So that's going to give me the professionals that I need that will help me walk through it, whether that be my doctor or my therapist or my energy workers or all of those people that I involve in my life, my gym coach, my personal trainer, all of these things. But we have to treat it. And whatever that is, so that you can become aware to heal healthy.
No, and I appreciate you saying that, because it's like, you know what, if there's your happy pill, take your happy pill. So you can function, your brain's alert. Everything's in focus. It's not a jumble. You're not in the fog. I remember when I finally got onto the medicine after Kalina passed away, that all of a sudden I felt like fog lifted in my mind. Like, it was like I could see things totally different. And it was a healthy
gray anymore.
difference.
You can see color, right?
Yeah, it's almost like everything was so numb in my life, like just numb, gray. And then it's like the fog lifts, and people I've talked to in the past on my guests on my show, other people have gone through, I had Dr. Ruth from UK. She's all about mental health, and understanding that, you know what, it's part of our lives, and to stay healthy and to understand it and not to be ashamed of it. And I love the fact that you are doing something about it. And listeners, if you struggle, it's okay. There's people out there to help. There's medicine that you can get on that helps with all of this. And MJ, you talked a little bit about your nonprofit. And before closing, I want to get into that just a little bit. What is your nonprofit organization and what is that all about?
We started in January, and it was actually a 30-year dream. I've thought about this for 30 years. It started in January. It is called Building Connections. It is an empowerment center that helps identify and know your worth, your purpose, and your identity. It helps with mind, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual wellness. It's a safe place to communicate. Sometimes we don't have that safe place to let our secrets out. So we are a safe place. I am a safe place that you can share your story so that you're not internalizing it. And then we can get you either with me or our programs that we are developing to find those purposes, to find those roads, those maps that you can find out who you are. And we do that in a safe environment, safe together. It's about building connections with other people. So I help build connections between a group of people so that you feel like you're not alone. Whether that be that we all sit here in a Zoom call, or we sit around a campfire, or, whatever we're going to go on, that you have a group of people that understand, identify, and can build you up. And right now, especially after COVID and the way our world has changed, we've lost that connection with people. And so my co-founder and I, Ryan Hymas is my co-founder. We want to create this group of connections and that help people find that emotional, physical wellness, that empowerment to be them, to have a voice, to share a voice, to live your truth, to love who you are. And that's what Building Connections is all about.
So how can people find it or find you?
My website is buildingconnections.org, and it's BUILDING. Connections is CONNEXTIONS. So a little bit different connections, but you have to have that X in there. I am on Facebook. You can find me. My Facebook is Building Connections, same spelling with the X. You can find me on Facebook as well, MaryJean Winn. Connect with me individually, connect with me on my website. My website has my phone number. We are looking for donations to help build these programs and help children that need to find their truth and find out who they are. Single mothers, married mothers, abuse, it doesn't matter who you are. We're here to help you and help guide your path and your direction to find who you are and what your purpose is. Find your value.
I appreciate you so much, MJ, sharing and taking something to me in life. When you take your trauma, your past, things that you've experienced, and be able to change it around and find the beauty in it to help other people along their journey. To me, it's always about paying it forward and giving back to other people. And that's what you're doing through your nonprofit, Building Connections, through your helping other people, through your coaching styles and things like that. So listeners, I invite you to reach out. Go to www.buildingconnections.org. Reach out to MJ. Talk to her, see how you can, be a part of the program, how you can donate. And to me, there's always good charities and causes out there. And so if you feel the passion, I invite you to do this. We have just a short second, one word of advice, MJ, that you could give to our listeners today. What would it be?
Learn to live your life. I never lived until I got divorced, and then I went is what life's all about. Wow. And I'm living a life I have never lived before at 50 years old. I'm doing things I never imagined I'd ever do.
I love
And
that.
live your life. Don't be afraid to live.
Listeners, take that word of advice. Don't be afraid to live. Live your life. Remember our affirmations today. I love my body and I live my truth. The breath is the gift of life. Choose now and live. Remember, this world is not for sissies. We are here to each experience our own journey as we each walk our personal paths. Have an amazing day, and thank you for choosing to be here now. Until next week, sending you all love and light.
All right, perfect. Good job today. We're all clear.
Okay, thanks.
All right, you're welcome.
Okay,
Have a
bye,
great
Matt.
day. Bye-bye.
Okay, you too. Bye. There we go. How was that?
Wonderful. Thank you.
You did amazing. It was great, and I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be on and to share a little bit of my story. It's such a small portion of my story, but
Yeah.
there's a lot to it, and I look forward to getting my book written. I have several books that I'm working on, and I'd love to connect with you and your publishing team like we've talked about to get that done. So
yeah, I think you would love it, and your story would bless so many people and help others. And that's what it's about at the end of the day, when we're vulnerable and being able to share. And I know you talked a little bit about how you've set it up to where it's kind of like it's, your self-help and as you go along, right?
for sure, as you go along. And things evolve and change. My book I have had for 30 years, one title and one topic. And that's what I've been focused on for 30 years. And I have filing cabinets full of stuff that, lessons I've learned or ideas or things like that. And it's never pieced together. I've never been able to get it together. And then after I got out of my divorce, we bought a side-by-side. I'm a side-by-side junkie now. And I have spent a lot of time on a dirt road over the last few years. A lot of time in the middle of nowhere, me and my side-by-side and a dirt road and the mountains and the trees. And whether it's by myself or with my kids or with my friends, I'm alone in that atmosphere. And I've learned a lot of lessons, whether it be on the side-by-side or just on a road trip in my truck or hiking. I learn a lot of lessons on a dirt road. So the new book, and that's supposed to be the first one, is Lessons I've Learned on a Dirt Road. And so it's coming together. I'm getting it written and getting that done, and hope to have it out as soon as I can. I just am trying to connect with the people that can make that happen. So anyway,
well, I think that's going to be good. I'm going to stop our Facebook Live thing.